In Kansas City, USA, there is a girl named Melissa McCracken. This girl, whenever she listens to music, naturally sees vivid images filled with various colors and amplitudes appearing before her eyes. Moreover, she even paints these visual sensations into brilliant, colorful artworks. In other words, Melissa can turn the music she hears into paintings. This phenomenon of hearing converting into seeing is called synesthesia, also known as sensory crossover. Some people, after their eyes, ears, nose, or tongue receive a specific stimulus, will experience a phenomenon where that sensation is borrowed and transformed into one or more other types of sensations. Common types of synesthesia include associating letters or characters with colors, or associating sounds with colors. From Melissa's paintings, one can see that different music styles manifest in different colors and structures. The British sound engineer John Stuart Reed invented a machine called the Cymoscope, which is used to study a field known as Cymatics. Cymatics, in simple terms, is the science of sound made visible. The principle is to record how sound vibrations impact a surface membrane, such as human skin or water. These surfaces capture a kind of energetic imprint, a resonant shape of that sound. In other words, the periodic vibrations of sound patterns can convert into visible wave formations on water, creating beautiful geometric shapes. Good music leaves behind patterns that are symmetrical, elegant, and balanced. In contrast, music with disordered frequencies often creates messy or unattractive forms. You may have heard of the idea that 432 Hz music can heal the mind and body. 432 Hz is said to be the shortest vibrational rhythm in the universe. It's believed to purify and harmonize both mind and spirit, helping people relax their body and soul, and even accelerating the healing of physical wounds. Once, the famous Scottish composer Brian T. Collins asked to run 432 Hz sound waves through his cymoscope to observe the effects it would produce with water when the frequency was 432 Hz. The result? He discovered that every time the 432 Hz sound was visualized, it consistently formed a triangle. At first, he thought there was something wrong with the cymoscope, but after repeated tests, he came to a conclusion. The number 3 in the universe is deeply connected with 432 Hz. This is also the same mysterious number that Tesla believed was tied to the fundamental truth of the universe. Today, let's talk about the frequency that connects us to the divine, 432 Hz. In recent years, scientists have confirmed the vibrational nature of the universe. Everything has its own unique frequency. When people, events, or objects share similar frequencies, they attract one another. Frequency and vibration have an incredibly important influence on life, health, society, and the world. It can be said that frequency and wave amplitude are the fundamental structures of all matter and life. We also know that when sound waves pass through a special physical medium, such as sand, air, or water, their frequency can directly affect the structure of that medium. Just like how a sound wave can shatter glass, this is the principle of resonance. So the music we listen to also carries such magical energy. It influences our brains, our bodies, our thoughts, and even our societies. Music carries both penetrating power and influence. When an entire city or nation falls in love with a certain symphony or song, it reflects the deep-level subconscious of that collective. And that music, in turn, shapes the collective consciousness of the people. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Have you ever noticed a common phenomenon? Shopping malls often play loud, bustling music. This type of music makes people excited, fired up in an instant, affecting our ability to reason and making us less rational. At such moments, we become more prone to impulsive shopping behavior. This is why so many people end up bringing home items only to realize they never really needed them. In contrast, classical music brings about a completely different effect. At a shopping center and surrounding area in Christchurch, New Zealand, which used to have an extremely high crime rate, starting in June 2009, the shopping center began playing works by 18th century classical composers such as Mozart and Beethoven for several hours a day. They soon discovered that incidents of crime, such as violence and drug use, dropped significantly. According to statistics, in October 2008, the crime rate there had reached as high as 77 incidents per week. But by October 2010, that number had suddenly dropped to just 2 incidents per week. Since 2008, there had been 16 criminal cases related to drugs and alcohol. But by 2010, not a single case occurred, thanks to the obvious effectiveness of the approach. Today, many business owners have started playing classical music in key areas. Even Auckland, the largest city in New Zealand, is now applying this method. Beyond shopping centers, a global trend has emerged where livestock such as chickens, pigs, and cows on farms are exposed to classical music. In fact, this isn't a new discovery anymore. Experiments have shown that when soft, gentle classical music is played on farms, it stimulates cows to produce more milk. The milk becomes tastier and healthier. It also encourages hens to lay more eggs. Pigs and cattle grow stronger and produce fresher, more tender meat. Moreover, a new industrial chain has formed. Restaurants and farms have begun offering food products like fish, eggs, grains, vegetables, and fruits that were raised with classical music. These products are relatively expensive, but their flavor and health benefits are far superior to conventional versions. These effects have been confirmed by consumers. It's clear that music not only affects people, but also has powerful effects on all things. It's impossible to fully measure its impact. So among the many kinds of music that exist, how do we distinguish between good music and bad music? Ancient musical instruments from civilizations like ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, or even more distant cultures, such as the Tibetan singing bowls, kora instrument, African court instruments, the 7-string Greek lyre, and even Dutch wooden flutes, have long been known. Although they originate from different time periods and civilizations, and seem to have no connection to one another, they all share one common feature. The A-tone vibration frequency of these instruments is 432 Hz. The sounds we hear from musical instruments are messages created by the vibration of those instruments. Sound waves reach our ears and are decoded by the brain into what we perceive as sound. These waves have fast or slow frequencies, long or short wavelengths, forming rhythms and textures. A equals 432. Hertz means that the sound wave vibrates 432 times per second. Yet these musical instruments were developed across completely different times and places. How could such a coincidence exist? Perhaps it's not just coincidence. Many signs suggest it isn't random at all. Could it be that music, being a form of art born from intuition, was created through the same deep instinct across all human cultures? It's not only these ancient instruments. Even composers we're familiar with, like Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, and even more modern artists like Bob Marley and Rammstein, have composed based on the tuning of A equals 432 Hz. However, such a long-standing tradition was not passed down to modern society. Since 1953, the standard tuning pitch adopted by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, has been raised to A equals 440 Hz, and it has been widely used worldwide ever since. This is 8 Hz higher than the 432 Hz tuning that had been commonly used for thousands of years. So where exactly lies the difference between 432 Hz and 440 Hz? Try listening to 2 sound samples and feel the contrast for yourself. After listening, which frequency do you prefer? Could you hear the difference? The first was 432 Hz, the second was 440 Hz. According to research, the biggest difference between the two is that 432 Hz aligns with the frequency of all energetic movements in nature. It is also known as a healing frequency. It helps people relax and feel at peace. Much like water, the universe, and other natural rhythms, everything resonates harmoniously with 432 Hz. So what about 440 Hz? At first, it may sound brighter, but it tends to make people feel uncomfortable. There's a sense of pressure and tightness, causing the mind to feel restless and uneasy. In the book Intervals, Harmonics, and Pitch, The 3 Pillars of Music, researcher Maria Reynolds described a method to test the different effects on listeners caused by the 2 standards, 440 Hz and 432 Hz. She invited thousands of participants over a span of 20 years to evaluate how they felt listening to each tone. She stated that over 90% of participants preferred listening to the 432 Hz tuning. When asked to describe how it made them feel, they used words like rounded, clear, precise, peaceful, and like sunlight. In contrast, those who described the 440 Hz tuning said it felt uncomfortable, suffocating, and lacking openness. So why has global music since 1953 been standardized to 440 Hz? One theory suggests that the person who initiated and promoted the shift from 432 Hz to 440 Hz as the global standard was none other than Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda of Nazi Germany at the time. Some believe that the Nazi regime aimed to use this tactic to unify human thoughts and emotions, essentially turning people into a type of consciousness slave. They believed this frequency could make listeners feel momentarily excited, more easily manipulated, less resistant to control, and more likely to accept new ideologies or orders. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Today, most of the music people listen to, especially young people, is tuned to 440 Hz. Some scientists believe that this frequency lowers the human body's natural vibration. As a result, thinking becomes chaotic, destructive, and divisive. Even worse, 440 Hz may trigger unstable resonance in the brain, leading to illnesses, social unrest, or even war. On the other hand, when we listen to positive music, tuned to natural healing frequencies, our body and mind resonate in harmony, calm, and peace. Below are some beneficial frequencies you may want to explore. 285 Hz regenerates cells and tissues, refreshing the body. 396 Hz releases guilt and fear, opening the path to emotional clarity. 417 Hz helps overcome negative situations and encourages transformation. 528 Hz heals DNA, boosts recovery, and awakens consciousness. 639 Hz enhances love and connection, dissolving barriers in relationships. 741 Hz detoxifies cells, purifies energy, and protects against electromagnetic interference. 852 Hz awakens intuition and deep inner insight. 963 Hz activates the crown chakra and connects you to universal consciousness. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to uncover the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Music has many miraculous functions and healing effects because hidden behind it are profound mysteries. In the ancient Chinese system of sacred texts, it is recorded that Nuwa created music based on the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars in the cosmos. Through cosmic harmony and correspondence, she composed a form of music known as sung music. Sung music is rooted in mythology. All things in the universe were living beings, and after they were created, each emitted disordered and chaotic sounds. So Nuwa created sung music, representing a form of universal energy. Its presence quieted the noisy world, and under its influence, all beings began to resonate in harmony. Their temperaments became peaceful and calm. Everything under heaven aligned with the righteous path, in balance and with order. Therefore, music was not originally meant for human entertainment. It was created to regulate nature and restore order to all things under heaven, guided by higher wisdom and founded on the principles of the Tao. Music could soothe creation and return everything to the Great Way. The musical notes also says, "The function of music is to guide and harmonize the human heart." In ancient times, music served another vital purpose. It was used for healing. In Chinese, the character for medicine, yao, is derived from a transformation of the character for music, yue. Since herbs have healing power, ancient scholars added the grass radical, kao, on top of the character for music to form the word for medicine, implying that both music and herbs share healing properties. In ancient Greek mythology, it was said that human civilization was created and led by gods. For instance, the arts were governed by the god Apollo. He led the 9 muses, each responsible for a domain such as music, history, poetry, drama, and dance. That's why the English word music originates from the Greek word musica, meaning the art of the muses. Whether in the East or the West, for a long period in history, gods were believed to have once lived among humans. They left behind countless divine legends, wondrous mysteries that remain difficult to explain, and concealed within them cultural treasures passed down through generations. From this, we can recognize that the original purpose of music was to educate and transform the human heart, as well as to restore balance and order to all things. Throughout history, music maintained this role. However, over time, its deeper meaning has become increasingly obscured, and the entertainment function of music gradually took center stage. Especially in the modern era, this transformative power has been almost completely lost. In fact, music has even become a tool to erode morality and encourage indulgence in human desires. So let me ask you, what kind of music do you personally enjoy? And how much do you understand about the differences between 432 Hz and 440 Hz? Please listen to the following 2 songs. Which frequency did you prefer? Feel free to share your answer in the comments section below the video. That wraps up our discussion for today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to share it with a friend who might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.